maybe he's not really going to do. There's a free designate somehow. I think I get it. They was flying. I'm afraid so. I haven't called Bob today. Afraid to. Afraid to be slow. Can you really tell? Middle of the day. You shoot, you don't be now. Where you going? That's the reason my question. Yeah. Didn't it? I was getting in here. Part of the chin. Chris. All right. Thank you. I forget I can. I forget. I just put it around today. Too cold to work outside a whole lot. Yeah. Let's go this afternoon. Got out to do a little less afternoon. Where you go? That's nice.
Welcome to the March 20th, 2023 meeting of the Surry County Board of Commissioners. We appreciate your attendance tonight. We welcome your input, and we're glad that you're here with us to do the people's business. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order, and I will ask Commissioner Mark Marion to deliver the invocation and the pledge. And if you're able, please stand.
Let us pray. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening asking your blessings upon this meeting. Be with us and give us wisdom as we go through the people's business. And give us the knowledge to do what we think is the best for the citizens of Surry County. Bless each one in attendance tonight. Be with them as they go home this evening. Watch over them and their families. Bless our armed forces, foreign and at home. All our men and women in uniform. Keep them safe as they do jobs that a lot of people run from and they run to it. Keep them safe. Wrap your big old arms around them and their families every day, Lord. Again, we ask your blessings upon this meeting. These many blessings we ask in thy name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Marion. Okay, gentlemen, you have your agenda for tonight's meeting. What is your pleasure?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion from Commissioner Johnson to approve tonight's agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Tucker. Any discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it, and the agenda is approved. You also have the meeting minutes from the 22nd of February and the 6th of March, 2023 for your approval. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion, we approve the minutes of February the 22nd and March the 6th, 2023 meeting minutes.
I have a motion, Commissioner Tucker, to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Goins. Any discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Call on the county manager to go through tonight's consent agenda. Mr. Chris Connaught.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item of the tax department end of month summaries, charges, reports is also included this month, recommendation to move forward with some tax foreclosures. Second, Sheriff's Office end of life weapons and the sale of those weapons, as well as the sale of 2 weapons to the Town of Elkin Police Department. Next item is an amended resolution for Project Denver. This is an economic development project within the Town of Elkin. Next is an ambulance franchise renewal with Mountain Valley Hospice. Next is a Duke Energy easement near the Fisher River Convenience Center for the replacement of some power infrastructure. Next is to reinstate a DSS position. Next is an overage in the fingerprint machine that's being purchased in the new detention center. Next is for the Health and Nutrition Center, and that is for the board to approve the renovation pre-qualification matrix. Next is the surplus of real property that the county has come into ownership of due to a tax foreclosure. It is located in the vicinity of Wards Gap Road and Cross Creek Drive. And finally, there's a grant acceptance for the new radio equipment at the Communication Center, and this is a grant from the North Carolina 911 Board. And that's the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, gentlemen, looking for approval on the consent.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion, Commissioner Goins, to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Marion. Any discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll do our special recognitions. We have the Surry Central Shooting Team, as well as the Emergency Medical Services Life Saves. If you would, gentlemen, come down front. Okay, we have some recognitions for our emergency medical service tonight for life saves. We have some as much as 50 life saves. Very proud of that. I'm very proud of our emergency medical services in Surry County and what they do. We also have some 25 life saves as well as 10 and some 5 life saves. And at this time, I'll call on Commissioner Mark Marion to do the 5 life saves.
All right. First up, we have Kristen Stevens. How are you? Congratulations. The County of Surry, Kristen Stevens, paramedic, Surry County Emergency Services, is hereby presented this certificate of recognition in honor of her 5 life saves to citizens of Surry County. The Board of Commissioners is pleased to award you with this certificate of recognition for your demonstration of high integrity and outstanding services. Presented this the 20th day of March, 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Chairman, Van Tucker, Vice Chairman, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Congratulations. Dustin Bowman. The County of Surry, Dustin Bowman, paramedic, Surry County Emergency Services, is hereby presented this certificate of recognition in honor of his 5 life saves to citizens of Surry County. The Board of Commissioners is pleased to award you this certificate of recognition for your demonstration of high integrity and outstanding services. Presented this the 20th day of March 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners. Eddie Harris, Chairman, Van Tucker, Vice Chairman, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Congratulations. Thank you. Aaron Swaim. Kaylee Mastromonica. Was that right? County of Surry, Kaylee, paramedic. Surry County Emergency Services is hereby presented this certificate of recognition in honor of your 5 life saves to citizens of Surry County. The Board of Commissioners is pleased to award you this certificate of recognition for your demonstration of high integrity and outstanding services. Presented this 20th day of March 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Chairman, Van Tucker, Vice Chairman, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Congratulations. All
right, I'm gonna call Ashley Henshaw, Austin Holloway, Lakin Booker, Matthew Thomas, and Samantha Rose. This is Austin Holloway, paramedic, Surry County Emergency Services, hereby presented this certificate of recognition in honor of his 10 life saves to citizens of Surry County. The Board of Commissioners is pleased to award this certificate of recognition for your demonstration of high integrity and outstanding services. Presented this 20th day of March 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Congratulations. Thanks, sir. Lakin Booker, paramedic, Surry County Emergency Services, hereby presented this certificate of recognition in honor of her 10 life saves to citizens of Surry County. The Board of Commissioners pleased to award this certificate of recognition for your demonstration of high integrity and outstanding services. Presented this the 20th day of March 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Congratulations. Samantha Samantha Rose, paramedic, Surry County Emergency Services, hereby presented this certificate of recognition in honor of your 10 life saves of citizens of Surry County. The Board of Commissioners pleased to award you the certificate of recognition for your demonstration of high integrity and outstanding services. Presented this 20th day of March 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Congratulations.
Eric, if you don't mind, when it comes my turn that I need to have a life saved for me, can I request the women to come? All right. Joshua LaCrone. Oh, I was looking. Joshua has saved 25 life saves. Just give him a round of appreciation.
Okay, Jose Butron. Is Jose here tonight? Yeah, there you are. Come on up, Jose. And this one right here is a big one, folks. This one's going to take the prize. They're all good and they're all wonderful. And we appreciate you all. But I want to read this one for Jose Butron, paramedic. This is a certificate of recognition for you, Jose, in honor of your 50 life saves to the citizens of Surry County. The Board of Commissioners is pleased to award you this certificate of recognition. Outstanding, let me tell you. For your demonstration of high integrity and outstanding services. Presented this 20th day of March, 2023, the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, Mark Marion, and let's give him a big round of applause. Eric?
Eric, you want to come?
Oh, I don't want to talk. That's not what I come up here for. Well, I appreciate it. And I've said this many times before, but Surry County is extremely pleased, blessed. We're thankful for the ones that we have here tonight. And they do represent some of the best that we've got. These life saves are just a small achievement of what they went through to become paramedics and what they do every day for the county and for the citizens of Surry. Again, thank you all. They're all yeah.
No wonder off yet. All right, that looks good. Everybody ready? Fantastic. Congratulations, all of you. Thank you.
Okay, we've got the Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports team, and at this time, I would like to call Mr. Brian Parker, the head coach, up, as well as the assistant head coach, Brian Parker Jr. and the skeet coach, the archery coach. They're not here. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and do yours, Mr. Parker, if you would. This is a certificate of recognition for Brian Parker, the head coach of the Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports team. Brian is hereby presented this certificate of recognition for your leadership, service, and dedication to the development of Surry County's athletes and hunter safety, resulting in the Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports Team Athletics competing in the 2023 District 7 Youth Hunter Education Skills Tournament, coming in an overall score of 3,169 for Team 1 and 2,501 for Team 2. This presented this 20th day of March, 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Chairman, Van Tucker, Vice Chairman, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. And also, I'm going to present yours as well. And
Stephanie Holder. Coach / teacher. How you doing? Good. County of Surry, Stephanie Holder, coach, teacher, Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports Team, is hereby presented this certificate of recognition for your leadership, service, and dedication to the development of Surry County athletes and hunter safety, resulting in the Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports Team athletes competing in the 2023 District 7 Youth Hunter Education Skills Tournament, earning an overall score of 3169 for Team 1 and 2501 for Team 2. Presented this the 20th day of March, 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Thank you.
Christy Parker, coach, administrator. Christy, you're hereby presented this certificate of recognition for your leadership, service, and dedication to the development of Surry County athletes and hunter safety, resulting in Soggy Bottom Shooting Team athletes competing in the 2023 District 7 Youth Hunter Education Skills Tournament. Presented this the 20th day of March, 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Congratulations.
Okay, these all read the same, I believe, so for time's sake, I'm going to read one and then I'm going to call your names. And this is a certificate of recognition for all you folks in the Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports Team for your contribution to the Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports Team competing at the 2023 District 7 Youth Hunter Education Skills Tournament. Your team of talented young men and ladies has not only worked hard to achieve success, but developing lasting bonds, and it's presented this certificate the 20th day of March, 2023 for the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. And I will read the names, and I believe they're the same. Caleb Blevins, come on up, Caleb. Sage Belton, not here. Okay, you got it. Chloe Easter, come on up, Chloe. And Wyatt Fallen, come on up, Wyatt.
Morgan Brooks. Help me read, make sure I do it good, okay? Morgan Brooks, Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports Team is hereby presented the certificate of recognition for your contribution, how you say that word? Contribution to the Soggy Bottom shooting sports team competing in the 2023 District 7 Youth Hunter Education Skills Tournament, earning second place in the individual overall title in skeet, archery, rifle, and hunter skills with a score of 594, finishing 64th out of 288. Where's that? 200? How many is in behind you? 200 and some behind you. Okay. Your team of talented young men and women has not only worked hard to achieve success, but to develop lasting bonds. Presented this 20th day of March 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Congratulations, Morgan. Cheyenne Rippey. All right. You want to help me too? Now, how do you pronounce that one? No, I think I got it this time. Cheyenne Rippey, Soggy Bottom shooting sports team is hereby presented this certificate of recognition for your contribution to the Soggy Bottom shooting sports team competing in the 2023 District 7 Youth Hunter Education Skills Tournament, earning first place for an individual overall title in skeet, archery, rifle, and hunter skills with a score of 657, placing 28th out of 288 competitors. Your team of talented young men and women have not only worked hard to achieve success, but to develop lasting bonds. Presented this the 20th day of March 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners, Eddie Harris, Van Tucker, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. First place, congratulations.
Boys better take notice of that. Yes, that's a good shoot.
Okay, I'm going to read this one here, and these, quite a lot of them read the same way. This one happens to be for Mr. Jake Hutchins, Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports Team. Is hereby presented this certificate of recognition for your contribution to the Soggy Bottom Shooting Sports Team competing at the 2023 District 7 Youth Hunter Education Skills Tournament. Your team of talented young men and ladies has not only worked hard to achieve success, but to develop lasting bonds. Presented this 20th day of March 2023 by the Surry County Board of Commissioners. Eddie Harris, Chairman, Van Tucker, Vice Chairman, Bill Goins, Larry Johnson, and Mark Marion. Mr. Jake Hutchins, congratulations. Sir. Mr. Ryan Taylor. Ryan.
You good.
Nicole White. Zane Williams. Y'all could have brought your shotguns with you. We don't care. Sawyer Belton. Landon Easter. Peyton Holder. Lucas Hutchins. Thank you, sir. Waylon Snow. Annie White. And we saved the best for last, Emma May White. Coach, would you like to make some comments?
Well, maybe I can make a few comments and not get choked up and start crying or anything, but
Okay, too.
it's been a rough road for this team. In the day we live in, for kids to be able to shoot guns and be from a certain school district is unheard of. Luckily, we have a principal at the high school and middle school and a few of our school board members. They're very supportive of the youth hunting sports. I have an amazing coaching staff. I can't thank them enough. And I have an amazing group of kids. We started with 6 kids and we ended up with 17 excellent shooting sports kids. They're very respectful. They work hard. Their determination it amazes me every time we go out. I'm really proud of all of them, and I'm so thankful for my coaches, and I'm thankful for our commissioners that they will support and recognize the youth that we have in the community that want to participate in shooting sports. So I'm just grateful and thankful for everybody that's here. Thank you.
I think we have 2 Surry County School Board members here with us tonight, and I'd like to ask them to come up if they would, Mr. TJ Bledsoe and Mr. Dale Badgett, and let's give them a round of applause as well. And I'd like to get you folks in the picture if we could. Dale, would you like to make any comments?
Thank you. I think Brian said it well. We live in a time where it may not be the easiest to do what you're doing, but I firmly believe that when kids learn gun safety, they're smarter and they're better at defending themselves and they're better at using and handling the weapons. So I hope you understand that what you've been able to achieve is not very common in this world, and you're going to be better citizens. I think you're going to be better defended, and you're going to be able to help keep our nation strong because of what you've learned. And I thank y'all for helping with that. I appreciate it. And thank the commissioners for recognizing. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Larry, we'll get up top here instead behind. There's so many of us, and y'all all can come around here. And yep.
Sir.
All right, everybody ready? Do a bunch here because there's so many of you. Your weights are usually better than mine anyway. All right, thank y'all very much. Congratulations. That's her name tag. Well, I changed the back. We're done. That's mine. I bring it every meeting, then I leave it that half. That's, you know, that's. Oh, there you go. Some now. Got a bunch of Baptists on the bright side now.
Okay, we really appreciate our shooting team folks and what they've done and our Surry County schools folks as well. We'll move right along here. This is our open forum portion of the meeting. If you're here to speak on the Abe Mays Road, that will come at the next segment with the continuation of our public hearing. So at this time, I'll open the open forum. If you have anything of interest to the citizens of Surry County or this board, or any concerns or anything you'd like to bring to this board or feel free to come up and speak your mind. We typically give 3 minutes, and all you have to do is state your name and your telephone number. And this is all quite informal, so have at it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to speak to you and the people in the room. My name is Claudia Eldridge. My phone number is 336-382-8083. And I'm here to represent a group of wonderful people that I've met since we moved to Surry County. My husband and I, our dream was that when we retired, we would be able to purchase land on the Mitchell River and live here. And we have, and we love it very much. But the reason I'm here tonight is to talk about a problem we all deal with, and that's litter on the side of the road. So the people that I represent are my neighbors and friends who encouraged us. They have been picking up litter for a long time, and they encouraged us to do the same, and we did. So I contacted Chairman Harris, and I just wanted to commend, first of all, the board for the actions that you've taken, and in particular, Chairman Harris for starting a litter committee. And we had our group, we got together and we had a couple of suggestions. First of all, there all this support for picking up litter. We were very unaware of that, at least, my husband and I were. And so I don't know if the litter committee already has a citizen advisor, but that might be a good thing to add. I don't know when the committee meets, but a lot of the things that we talked about in our little group would be best dealt with in the committee. I'll tell you a couple of brief things. One is we've noticed a lot of bags of trash that fall off open trucks. So requiring a tarp, even for people that are picking up for their families, would be a nice thing. I don't know quite how you would enforce that. We take our trash to the recycling center on Golden Road. And as far as I know, there's no place to drop off appliances or office equipment and stuff like that. So as I've been walking in our neighborhood, I see that sometimes people have dropped things off on the shoulder of the road and pushed them over. I've seen a refrigerator, I've seen computers and office furniture and couches. One member of our group saw a mattress the other day on the way to work. So if there was some way that maybe people could drop things off there and then the landfill from Mount Airy could come and pick that up. The other is someone suggested that maybe that committee could approach fast food vendors, since we find so much fast food litter, and ask them to make a financial contribution to the funds that you all are allocating for this purpose. Let's see, I think that's the biggies. I will say, we're up near Trout Unlimited area. If there were some, and maybe Trout Unlimited ought to address this, some containers, receptacles for trash in those parking lots, and someone who would regularly check on those to pick them up. But thank you so much. We love being part of Surry County, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Eldridge.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Aaron Holt. My number is 336-755-9670. I'm here on behalf of the Shepherd's House and the Helping Hands Foundation. Last time you met, you presented a new request for Invest in Surry funds, and you had a lot of questions, and our executive director is here tonight with some questions, hopefully to answer some of your questions that you had. And you also received a document summarizing our capital project that took place back in 2020. And hopefully that answered your questions that you had, but if it did not, we wanted to be available to you tonight as it is back on the agenda at the end of this during Chris's time. So just a little highlight of what we have been through with our capital campaign is we had 100% board participation with our capital campaign. We raised over $2 million during a pandemic and worked with a budget that was a cost plus project, unfortunately. We built a commercial kitchen that's a community service kitchen that we could potentially use for community service. And unfortunately, we was over budget by a little over $500,000. So I appreciate the time and you guys even entertaining the request to have the opportunity to come back and use these funds. So if you have any additional questions, we do appreciate you again taking time to even entertain the idea and the motion or thought to have us be part of that additional request, not through the initial process. So we will hang around for a few minutes while this is on your agenda. And again, I appreciate all the service that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holt. And yes, we're going to discuss that a little bit later for sure. Anyone else? All right, I'll close the open forum portion of our meeting tonight, and I'll call on our county attorney, Mr. Ed Woltz, for the resumption of the Aid Mays Road closing consideration public hearing from the January 3rd meeting continuation. Mr. Woltz.
Just to refresh your recollection, this thing has some age on it. Back in January 2020, Mr. and Mrs. Andy Reynolds filed a petition with the NCDOT to close 0.21 miles of State Road 1319, which is Abe Mays Road, which includes a bridge. The DOT contacted the county, and the county was asked to provide a resolution in support of that closure. And the county did so, subject to the rules and regulations of NCDOT. At some point, Ms. Reynolds approached Sandy Snow because things had not gone as anticipated. When the county in 2020 approved the resolution, we approved a resolution to remove this piece of road from state maintenance. We did not approve the closure of the road. And we did not have publication, we did not have notices, we did not have posting. And so the state moved on and actually removed this 0.21 miles of Abe Mays Road from state maintenance, but it remains a public road. And when this was brought to our attention in 2022, we tried to do the best we could with the application that had been filed with DOT in 2020. Therefore, we advertised, we provided notice, we posted the roadway as is required by statute. And the public hearing was scheduled for January 3rd, 2023. And at that time, this board recessed because it had unresolved issues. We have a public road without state maintenance. And the dilemma was, what do you do with that? And so since that time, we've done some due diligence and we met with NCDOT, and we basically found out that there were, several options out there. And I'll get into those later, but I would ask that the board reconvene the recessed meeting. It's a public hearing on the road closure at this time.
Okay, I will open back up the recessed public hearing from the 3rd of January. Is that correct, Ed? 3rd of January, 2023 on Abe Mays Road. If there is anyone here willing to or wanting to speak to that issue of the potential closure in regards to a petition, please come forward now and state your name and telephone number.
Good evening, it's James Freeman, 336-835-4407. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, Commissioners, good to see you. Thank you for allowing me to speak a few minutes. I'm here on behalf of Karen and Andy Reynolds, who are here this evening. And do want to speak to you, but just wanted to give you a little chronology. Mr. Woltz and I have been in discussions, and I know he indicated sort of the chronology of things, sort of how this all came about. My clients own property on both sides of A's Mays Road and both sides of the 2/10 of an acre that you're talking about closing tonight. They operate a farm, have lived there for a number of years. Unfortunately, in the 2018, 2019, started noticing around this bridge towards the end of the road on their property, indications of illegal activity going on, needles, drug paraphernalia beside the bridge. In addition, vandalism at their farm, theft of lumber, things going on such as that. And about this time in 2019 or a little bit later, they get a notice from the Department of Transportation that DOT wanted to replace this bridge to the tune of $850,000, which they thought was ridiculous, waste of taxpayer money on a lightly traveled road. And they contacted DOT about this, what could be done, and discussions ensued. And the Department of Transportation indicated to them that they could file a petition to abandon that portion of the road. And so that is what they did. As Mr. Woltz said, in early 2020, they filed this petition with DOT. DOT then wrote the county commissioners, I think wrote the county manager in February, indicating they got the petition. Could they, and wanting to get the resolution of support before DOT would move forward. That resolution was provided, and DOT came out to my client's property in February and March of 2020 with the surveyor, surveyed out a 50-foot right-of-way and a 35-foot turnaround at their chicken houses, which would indicate the turnaround where the state maintenance ended. And then they recorded that right-of-way my clients had granted DOT in June of 2020. So at that point, of course, pandemic was going on, no things, but my clients continued to, I guess, wait for indication that the road had been closed. All the safety decals, were taken off the bridge by DOT. The maintenance stopped, so they've not been back out there. But as Mr. Woltz said, about 2022, my clients begin to wonder, it's obvious the state maintenance has stopped, is the road closed? And that's when the investigation came. And then in November 21st, 2022, another resolution was entered by this board of an indication to close the road. And then the public hearing notice was put out. As Mr. Woltz said, DOT has abandoned the road. I've never been involved in one of these before, and when the Reynolds came to me after the first hearing, it's an interesting statutes. One calls for, which this board did back in January 2020, calling on, asking DOT to abandon the state maintenance, which DOT did. But then DOT apparently requires also that another statute be followed for giving public notice to close the road. So that statute 153A 241, which I know Mr. Woltz has gone over with you, on this road primarily in determining whether the closure is not contrary to the public interest, is the question is, does everybody have access to their property? And I don't think that is an issue at all. The Reynolds are here. I believe some of their neighbors that live on Abe Mays Road are here, and I'm sure other people probably are too. No one's access to their property is affected whatsoever. Everyone continues to have access for ingress and regress, but with this 2/10 of an acre portion being closed. My understanding is that 911, Sheriff's Department, everybody's indicated closing this portion would not affect them at all. And also, as you'll hear from Ms. Reynolds too, I mean, this area that, while this became principal in their mind, is this little area, it's secluded at night, not many people on there. It was a haven, it's a haven for illegal activity. I mean, it was being used, they found needles, other drug paraphernalia all through there. And they also, as I said, have suffered, theft of lumber and vandalism. And so we would, contend on their behalf that certainly it meets the qualifications of 153A 241 to not be contrary to the public interest. I mean, and most importantly, I think, as Mr. Wilt said, because of these statutes, we're sort of in a conundrum here that the state has abandoned the maintenance on this portion of the road, but until it is closed, it's still a public road, but it doesn't have any public maintenance going on right now. And I know the county doesn't have the funds or even the statutory thing to go into road maintenance. That's not what the county does. And so because right now we have a public road without any public maintenance, I would contend that it's certainly not contrary to the public interest to close that portion of the road because it is not being maintained by the state. I thank you for your time listening to me. I know Ms. Reynolds is here, would like to speak to you, and thank you for your consideration. And I do believe there's some other neighbors too. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Karen Reynolds. I've spoken to a number of you. I'm glad to be able to talk to you today. I hope I don't mess up. We'll be very brief. I'd like to thank you for hearing us this evening. As Mr. Freeman has already stated, the process that got us here, and we don't need to go back and talk about the process that landed us in this particular predicament. We are farmers. We purchased the land back in 2017, where we have both cattle and chicken houses. Since we've brought the farm, we've picked up needles over several years at the bridge. It seems like people like to use that bridge and the location, the isolation, to do their drug use. Also, we're experiencing, since this happened, several acts of theft, vandalism, and this has all been reported to the Sheriff's Department. As the State Department no longer maintains that part of the road, we ask that you close only that end of the road that goes through our property on both sides to the bridge, and this includes the bridge also. So I thank you for your time, and I hope you reach a nice decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Anyone else?
I'm going to keep this short. My name is John Fain. Between me and my family, we have 3 properties that border Abe Mays. We stand united in the closing of it, less trash, less dust, and maybe we can do something about the stealing. That's all I got tonight.
Mr. Fain, your phone number, please.
My phone number is area code 321-412-0088.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming tonight. Anyone else?
My name is Priscilla Botti. My phone number is 336-902-7211, and thank y'all for listening. I live on that road. Mr. Fain that was up here lives on the end closest to the Wolf and H. Gillis Road. then I'm the only other one that lives on that road. They have a farm there, but they don't live there. And I need both ways to get out. I have, forgot my pictures. But I have them on my phone. There's a little place that's down below me. And when it rains, I can't get out. So I have to go out the other way. Let's see if I can pull those up. I can get this up big enough so y'all can see it. You can see the water in the field. I'm sorry.
You can bring it around if you'd like. Yeah, just bring it around. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As far as the heavy farm equipment, everything crosses that bridge. There's more heavy equipment and more traffic coming in and out with heavy equipment, and it stirs up more dust than just a car coming through going out. And I wouldn't want to, this end closed down, because if they're having that much problem with stuff down there, if it's closed down, then people's really gonna go down there. Which it's all over. It's not just this county, it's everywhere. People doing this stuff, people breaking in places, it's happened at our house. They've tried to break in our buildings and stuff like that. We just put some security stuff up, more lights, cameras. I mean, there's not much you can do to stop them. I mean, we've called the law and they tell us there's nothing they can do. They can come out, maybe scare them off. If they catch them, they can get them. But as far as traveling, that's the only other way I got to get out, if that is covered. And the hill going up the H.G. Lewis, I had that picture too. It's like in the wintertime, if it gets the ice, I can't get up that road. And they said the MS and stuff, but when we call them, that's the way they come in. They can probably reroute it, but that's the way the GPS brings them in. So, and I'm just more worried about if we've got a big rain or something's going on and I want to get out. How am I going to get out? If they close this end and this is blocked, I have no way out at all. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Body. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Chris Childress. My number is 336-353-0600. I live on the Oscar Callaway Road. Childress Farms, there's about 120 acres on both sides of the road. I would like to just say that what Karen said about what's going on at the bridge, I have witnessed that. I have seen it. My husband and I, before he died, we even picked up needles there. When I come home, sometimes after dark, several occasions, there's been cars parked there. And sometimes it's after midnight. And it's so often now that I'm afraid to come in that way. So now I go through Mountain Park, come in the other way because of the fear of what's hanging out on that bridge. Another thing, the GPS does send traffic up that hill, across that bridge and up the hill. One morning before I retired from work, I was going down that way and a tractor trailer truck was actually stuck on that hill, trying to do the curve. He tried to back up, he hit the bridge, and he couldn't move. So I helped direct him back down. On another occasion, my brother-in-law helped a tractor trailer come back down that hill. So they don't need to be going up that hill. It's dangerous. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Childress. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
Roland Jones, 336-469-6045. I own property on the road, 8 Mays Road, and I'm against closing it. I think it makes my land worth less. You close that in, where I can't go through, I've got to go all the way down where my property starts. If I'm on the property, instead of going that 2/10 to go to Elkin or Dobson, I got to turn around, go back 2 miles, get back, go either way. It's more expense on me. If you make it a dead end road, you can, even the DOT and law enforcement. Now, it ain't every dead end road, but you have more trouble. It's just known fact. And it being a dirt road is gonna make a difference. That bridge they're talking about, they're parking on Officer Callaway's road. They're not parking on 8 Mays Road to do that. About the drugs and stuff. I mean, this decision is supposed to be made what the best for the people, everybody. And the best I can tell is just somebody bought the property and wants the road closed. It's like 2 people you're trying to benefit. But a lot of people use that road that don't feel comfortable showing up here tonight, that use that road. I mean, it causes more trouble on everybody else. And a lot of realtors will tell you, if it's hard to get the property, the value is worth less. You're making it harder to get to it. So I'm against closing. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Walter Jones, my phone number is area code 336-468-0606. I've got land leased on Oscar Callaway Road. I travel this road 3 to 4 times a day, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11:30 at night. When I go feed, I go that way. It's safer for me to go feed with a tractor, going through that dirt road, than to go out and go up to H.G. Lewis Road where they fly. I'm pulling out kind of in a blind spot, and you can't go nowhere in a tractor. I mean, if someone pops over the hill, you're just setting up. And then I got to go out on the Zephyr Mountain Park Road to cut back on to Oscar Callaway Road. But I mean, as far as any drug related, I've never seen nothing there. I'm not saying that it don't happen. I mean, they'll pull off anywhere they can. I'm over on the side. I find needles in a yard here in Dobson in the bushes about 2 times a year. Someone's thrown them out the window. Because so it's got to where if I work in the bushes, I don't reach it in my hands because I can't see what's there. I found one this year just cleaning the yard up. But I don't think the road should be closed. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Anyone else to speak to the Abe Mays Road closing?
Harris,
How you doing?
I live on Union Hill Road. I've lived there about all my life. My phone number is 874-2962. That road they're speaking of, they end down there where they want to close. The fire department cannot get up it. Ambulances cannot get up it. Right now, there's a ditch across that road nearly knee deep. How you gonna get anything through there if it's unsafe? There's nothing to stop closing that portion of the road. It would be a wise decision to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. A.C. Shores.
Gentlemen, my name's Doug Watkins. My phone number is 874-7310. I'm 77 years old. Back in the 70s, when Robert Montgomery was sheriff, I was head of the drug department. So I know professionally what I'm talking about. And our area on the H.G. Lewis Road, down Abe Mays Road, is infested with drugs. I have run off several people from doing drug deals. I had a property at the corner of Abe Mays Road, and I have run many people off from making drug deals there. And even one of my neighbors has already spoke. He and I ran 2 people off down at the bridge of Abe Mays Road. Now, I am very proud of my community and everybody in it. I'm ashamed that everybody in the community is not for getting rid of the drugs. They're more concerned about having to drive 1 more mile or a half a mile or 2 miles to get where they're going. That's no problem for me. I live in between. Which way I want to go, down to the left or the right, go around or whatever it is. But if we can get rid of the drug problems, I'll drive 20 miles out of the way. I love every one of my neighbors. I've never had any problem with them, and I hope they don't hold it against me for speaking out on this. And I'm tired of the drugs. I moved there in 1976. I never locked my doors, didn't have to. And most of the neighbors will tell you the same. Every time I go out my door, when I come back in, I don't care if I do it 100 times a day, I lock my door behind me. We fear drug people. And one of the biggest drugs that they're doing is meth. I don't know if you know anything about methamphetamine. Those are the people that breaks in your home. Those are the people who will kill you for anything. And if you don't believe it's not infested down there, come see me. I'll take you around, okay? The closing of the road is not just closing the road where people can't go down it. And we're not talking about a big area. And we're not talking about somewhere you have to take an hour to go. What's 10 minutes out of your way, or 5 minutes out of your way, or 3 minutes out of your way? Get rid of the drugs. Us elderly people are afraid because what happens with the drugs? It doesn't stop. My wife counted 84 automobiles go past our house in one day. Stay about 5 minutes and back they come. There are more motorcycles going down our road now than people that live around in the community has motorcycles. They stay for a little bit and they come back. That's drug dealing, 100%. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I still love my neighbors. I'm tired of the drugs. I can't fight no more. I can't run no more. I want the drugs out of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Anyone else? Mr. Shores, did you want to speak? You're welcome to speak if you'd like to, sir. it been cool enough for you? You doing all right, Mr. Shores?
Yeah. My phone number is 336-200-2588. I'd like to see the state resume the keeping of the road up. It don't matter whether they close it or not, I'd just like to see it maintained. And I think if they close the road, they ought to take the bridge out. Because Mr. Reynolds, he uses the road more than anybody else. I've used the road for 60 years plus. I'm nearly 80 years old. And if it was maintained, people could go through there whether they wanted to or not. If they took a bridge out, there would be less drug activity on the road. That's ditch is washed across the road that they don't maintain. And Mr. Reynolds, he bought that farm. He don't live on the road. He's got a farm on the road. And the bridge, it's safe. He used the bridge for big tractors, silage trailers, manure spreaders. He used the road more than anybody. Why would he want to close it? That's a portion of the road.
Right, yeah.
All I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Shores. Anyone else? Okay, at this time, I'll close the public hearing that was recessed from January 3rd and formally close it concerning the closure of a portion of the Abe Mays Road. All right, gentlemen, I will entertain discussion. Unless you folks want to hear from me, being the commissioner from that district, that doesn't bother me, but I'll entertain discussion. Commissioner Marion?
I just heard something that I didn't know.
Mhm.
Mr. Jones said it. I didn't know that Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds didn't live on this road. I knew they had the farm, but I didn't know they didn't live on it. So that was something new for me.
I drove the road. I went and drove through last week and at the road. I guess my question is, we close the road, what happens to the two tents and the bridge? The
Bridge.
yes.
Well, y'all asked me to do some due diligence on this and give you your options at the time the original hearing was recessed. And we met with NCDOT and we know what's available. Essentially, there are three options. One is to leave the road in its current condition, unmaintained by the state, but as a public road. So the public is entitled to use it regardless of its condition. That includes the bridge. Option two is to ask the state of North Carolina to resume maintenance of the road. That's not an impossibility, but it would require an easement in favor of NCDOT to do so.
By the Reynolds.
Yes. And my understanding is that that's That's not an option from the Reynolds perspective. And the third option is to close the road permanently. And that would include the bridge, and that would eliminate maintenance issues, access issues. Since the Reynolds own both sides of the property on either side of the road, they would take to the center line and essentially it would become their road. But they still have the liability of dealing with the bridge, whether they chain it off, whether they remove it. That would be their decision if the road is closed and abandoned.
But in the event it was closed, the county would assume no liability of the unsafety of the road that is now not maintenance, nor the bridge that is still there.
No, the county should have no liability whatsoever. You can't guarantee that no one will ever sue you, but
Yeah.
there is no liability because the county is not in the road business. The petition that was executed by Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds indicates that they have acknowledged whatever responsibility goes with the closure.
Commissioner Tucker, would you like to give a brief synopsis of our meeting with Michael Poe from Division 11 District DOT?
Well, he basically said what Ed has just said, and that is, we don't have a lot of options here, whether it was right, whether it was wrong, or whether it was because we were blind, stupid, and didn't know any better. You could go on all night about why we did what we did, but this board voted previously to allow the petition that the Reynoldses had made to the North Carolina DOT to abandon the road, which means essentially abandon the maintenance. We had a public hearing over here. Pretty much nobody showed up. Pretty much sounded like a no-brainer at the time. We, not knowingly at the time, we thought we were closing the road the night we voted. That was my understanding. That was your understanding, Mr. Attorney.
Sir.
And that was everybody's understanding sitting here at this panel. We thought we had voted to close the road for all the reasons and some more that we've heard here tonight. We talked to Division 11 Director about that, Michael Poe, and we acknowledged that we did it acting under that understanding. If we could go back and in time and start that public hearing again and bring out some of these issues from both sides and have this much public input and have the correct options, which should have been not to cease maintenance on the road, but to agree to let the Reynolds' petition to the North Carolina DOT, which had already run that course, to land here, and thus either to agree or disagree to continue maintenance or not continue maintenance. I would have said now, knowing what I know, wait a minute. What are we going to do stopping maintenance if we haven't closed the road? What are we accomplishing here? Now we're here and have seen, and you go over there and look, there is a big ditch plowed through the road. The road is essentially closed to most traffic. You can't go back in time, and this is where I think we land today, and this is pretty much what Mr. Poe, Division 11 Director, agreed to. He took this up with the North Carolina General Attorney's Office and their people at the DOT contact there about these kind of conundrums. Things do happen. It wasn't an intentional mistake, but we did make a little bit of a misstep in as much as we allowed the state, at their petition from the Reynoldses to the North Carolina DOT to hear, we agreed to say, okay, we'll stop the maintenance. That's not what we intended to do. We intended to close the road. But what we really did was stop the maintenance. The road essentially is open. It's closed and open. You see a big ditch across it and you want to cross it with a 4-wheel drive truck or a tractor, or a dirt bike, you certainly can, or some other things, I'm sure. But I did ask the DOT director, since we're landed in this conundrum, Mr. Chairman, at your request to give a synopsis on that. And if you remember, he said, I don't see how it affects too many people either way because the road is kind of evenly divided on egress and ingress and getting in and getting out. And I will remind you too, and this deviates from your question, but we did ask our Surry County Fire Marshal, and I see he's here tonight, to go over there and survey any safety hazards that would, by closing the road, might require. Would it result in a slower response time from local fire departments? Would we ask the same of our EMS director, Eric Southern? And we actually asked the same of a sheriff's department representative. I didn't do that, but somebody did.
Mr. Larry Lowe, I did.
Mr. Larry Lowe, you did. And I don't see Mr. Larry Lowe here tonight. I do see Mr. Southern, and I think we would be remiss here if we didn't call upon these professionals that regulate safety to speak before this is over, if you allow, Mr. Chairman. But I will add one other comment. Wherever we have landed where we are, what we have done is stop maintenance, and we have not closed the road, and that's a mess.
Okay, all right.
Now, one other thing I want to say. I don't want to vote tonight to leave a mess. Because we're in a mess, the only way we can undo the mess, and according to Michael Poe, the Division 11, North Carolina Director of Division 11 at the North Carolina DOT, he says the only way that's ever going to change, and from his inquiries at the Attorney General's office of the state of North Carolina, is if the Reynoldses were to change their mind and say, okay, we didn't mean what we said at the public hearing. What we really want to do is allow a right of way again. So you can petition us for a right of way and we'll sign a new one. And he says, other than that, in his opinion, it's going to be a hard thing to ever go back and get the right of way opened again, unless the Reynoldses agree to it. Based on that, we have a mess here tonight, and I'm sorry we're in this mess, but we have already voted to allow the petition to proceed to abandon the road, which means the maintenance is stopped, and the maintenance won't resume until that happens. And I am ready to make a decision tonight to fix our mess. And I believe the only decision that can fix it tonight is closing the road. That's just where I'm at.
Okay, we have a letter from the Emergency Medical Services as well as Mr. Ashburn and documentation from the Sheriff's Department that emergency services in Surry County will not be affected. So I'm not going to call on you gentlemen to come up tonight unless you just specifically want to. Would you guys want to come up or not? Okay, all right. Commissioner Goins, any comments?
Other than, I feel for the people that live on one end, and I do feel for you, but it's not a long ways around. I went out and looked at it. And I think there's kind of a money question here about how much do you spend on the bridge. They said 800,000. I would say that'd be a million plus today with inflation to fix that little bridge. So I'm kind of torn on what to do here, because I do feel for you live on that end, but at the same time, it'd be hard to get on a really rainy day, that bridge would be covered with water too. It's not far from the creek right there. The road is horrible. And if it's not maintained, it's unsafe, in my book. So that's what.
Mr. Johnson, any comments, sir?
Yes, and maybe even a question or two, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
From what I understand, not all the road will be closed, just a portion. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what happens to the rest of the road? Will it
It's
still be state maintained?
It's still under DOT maintenance. It's a very short section, 2 or 3/10 with a turnaround. Yes, sir.
And my understanding, I was told by the first speaker, the lawyer, that no adjoining landowners will be affected, far as they still have a road to get out and in. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And what I've heard mainly from everybody was drugs. And that's very unfortunate, but I don't think anybody can stand up here and say, if you close the road, that's going to stop the drugs from going in and out over there. There's going to be, I think, a dead end and a turnaround area. There's other avenues besides closing the road and it might not never happen. But there's other avenues that, unfortunately, that's our biggest problem we have in this county is the drugs. But we're trying to work on it. So I'm long as the people have access to get in and out, and we've had our folks to say, yes, it's gonna take a little bit longer to get them to get where they're going. I could see some benefits of the road being closed, the portion of it.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Okay, I'll give my 2 cents worth. I grew up in that community. I know all these folks. They're wonderful people. I see a lot of them every day at lunch. You know, I agree with Mr. Watkins. All these folks are nice people. And unfortunately, as a county commissioner, we have to vote yes or no. We can't vote maybe. So with that comes some upsetting some people. That's just the way the system works. And unfortunately, we have to do that. I know Oscar Callaway Road. I know H.G. Lewis Road. I know Wolf Road. I know all of these roads. I live there within 1.5 miles or 2 miles of this anyway. I've been through them thousands of times, and I don't see that anyone is not served by closing this road. Matter of fact, I see it 100% in one direction. I think everyone is served by closing this road. The people on Oscar Callaway Road are served by closing this road. They're not going to have the traffic going up and down that 2.5 mile dirt road, running over dogs and chickens and cats and the drugs and the dust and the just the traffic. And I just don't see how anyone's not served there. The folks on Wolf Road, they go out through Union Hill Road, or they go out through H.G. Lewis Road, and it's paved. There's nobody that's not going to be served in that direction. The folks on the portion of the road that on Abe Mays Road there, the Fains and I don't see any property owners on that remaining section that's going to have any difficulty. And this is someone speaking that grew up on a dirt road or lived on a dirt road my whole life. I eat the dust. I saw it. I saw the traffic, just the flying, and there's going to be more privacy, in my opinion. There's going to be less traffic. There's going to be more peace. Emergency services are not going to be affected. There's nobody that's going to Elkin or Thurman or Dobson or anywhere that lives on Wolf Road or H.G. Lewis Road that's going to take that pig path out to get to the Upper Mountain Park Zephyr Road. It just don't make any sense to me. And I understand that folks may see it differently. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Ms. Body, and I understand the predicament that you folks and your feelings, and I have tremendous amount of respect for that. But a preponderance of all the evidence and living there my whole life and seeing this, I just can't see how it's not a winner for everybody. And it's going to give more. And I don't think I think your land is going to be worth more at the end of a dead end road there, a little section from here to Sheets over here or whatever. It's you basically got a private road going to your property. The state's going to have to keep up with the turnaround there. I just don't see how anybody's not served by not closing this road. So that's my feelings on it, and I'll stand by that. And
I got one more thing. Mr.
yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just, you know, neighbors and families and talking about the drugs, putting all that aside, I'm just wondering what kind of precedents we're setting by someone requesting to close a road that don't even live on the road. So if somebody comes in and buys property on a dirt road or a secluded road and wants to close their section of the road, what kind of precedents are we setting right now by closing this road? And the people don't live on it. I just learned that tonight, and this hit me pretty good. So.
Well, if you own property, under North Carolina state law, and, Mr. Attorney, you correct me if I'm wrong, if you own property on both sides of a state maintained highway, it is your right, to petition the state of North Carolina Department of Transportation to close that. Is that correct?
Sir.
Okay.
And I'll add, Mr. Chairman, if I may. Again, however we landed here, we've already agreed to abandon the maintenance. That's done. Whether we should have or shouldn't have, it's done.
And there is no precedence here because there's state law that allows for someone who owns it on both sides of the road petition.
I'm talking about us. I'm talking about somebody that don't live there. That's what I'm saying. I don't care about owning land on both sides of the road. I said.
Well,
living on the road.
you have to own land on both sides of the road, petition for it to be closed. And the fact that someone doesn't live on owning real.
What I'm saying.
Mr. Chairman,
That's not what I'm saying.
That's not exactly right. You can own property on one side, and if the closure occurs, the property owner that owns property on the other side of the road, you take to the center line.
Mhm.
So it's a joint decision.
Yeah. So either if you own both sides or if you and the other neighbor concur to do it, yes.
I understand, yeah, but the real property owners, it's irrelevant if someone lives on it. Isn't that correct? Okay, all these roads, we've only done 2 others since I've been on this board. They were dead end roads. We closed a portion at the end of those roads. And that was, like I said, this is something it's very case specific. It's something that we haven't been very familiar with, but we've sure learned a lot in this process, as Commissioner Tucker has said. But I'll entertain a few more comments, gentlemen. I want to give it all it's worth. Go ahead.
We're going to be a little bit more specific the next time we approach a road closing. I will be. I'll be a lot more educated and a lot more cautious. Probably allow a little bit more time for public input. But again, regardless of the drug problem, and I know that don't mean to make light of that, it's terrible. I wish they were obliterated from the county. But I agree that closing the road is not we appreciate your comments, but we're not closing the road because we have drugs there, even though that might help that situation. Maybe it won't fix it. I just think we've landed in a conundrum of where we've got to do something. We must take action. And we've got all kinds of reasons that we would like to do it one way or the other. But I think the most pressing is we've landed in a predicament where we have a road that the state is not going to maintenance for now and forever. And a bridge that they're not going to maintenance for now and forever. And the signs and the reflectors and the safety things on the bridge is going to be gone for now and ever. And it's got a big ditch plowed through it. And it doesn't need to be open because we have landed where we are. And the only fix to this, in my opinion, is to close. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. I'll entertain motions.
Well, like you said, it's not always the popular thing to do, but you got to take.
You want me to make it?
I'll make the motion that we close Abe Mays Road as requested by the petition that we've heretofore signed with the North Carolina DOT to cease and abandon the maintenance. And I'll make a motion that we now go ahead and finish that procedure, which we have duly executed, and we close it.
Is that the correct motion, Mr. Attorney?
Stick abandon in there too.
Yeah, we have already, okay, I'll make a motion, we abandon and close the Abe Mays Road. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll second that. Any more discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed?
No.
4-1, the road's closed. Thank you. Dr. Kim Morrison, Mount Airy City Schools. Well, no, but it was the right thing to do. Anyway. If you had it.
But even if it wasn't, we didn't have it. You understand?
Y'all have such easy decisions.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry.
Jay, how you doing?
First full-time job I ever had, Jim.
You come up here and try it for a little bit if you want to.
Mr. Chairman, I thank
You will
you.
not see me in a politician seat. You will not see me as a politician.
You'll take a 2-minute break. I don't, just let them go.
That's what y'all get the big buck. Chairman, you want to give them a minute, please?
Yeah, we'll take Kim, do you mind if we take a 5-minute break?
I knew that was gonna happen.
Okay, all right. 5-minute recess.
I just.
Yeah, I'll start it.
Never a dull moment. The state's gonna have to come and fix. I got 3 copies. Gotta fix it. They gotta fix it where it won't flood.
Al, how you doing? Yeah.
Kept my word. I feel cool. I understand. Yeah. I think when I get up at the table and I make a lot of curious. Rest off.
Well, all right.
I'm doing good. I hope you are.
You've got quite an entourage tonight.
Just in case y'all have any questions. Olivia doesn't want to talk, so we'll make sure we ask her at least one.
Well, we'll be sure to make her talk. So we'll have some questions for her. So.
Yeah, give her the most questions. I told her she'd work on her public speaking tonight.
That's right.
Well, Commissioner Tucker and I enjoyed meeting with you all. Yes, we did. All right, let's go.
Okay, so I believe we shared with you, Mr. Knopf shared with you the Office of Civil Rights Audit Report. We are the lucky one that got an audit this year in the state. There are 3 school districts that get audited every year. So there's no reason for the audit. We asked the Office of Civil Rights other than it was our turn. And if you haven't been audited in the past, often they'll do an audit with your school district. So because we receive funds for the career and technical education at the federal level, then we have to make sure that everything is ADA compliant. So we've shared with the report that came directly from the Office of Civil Rights. So I'm sure you've read it in details, like 20 pages or something like that. Yes, kind of weighty. I'm glad. Good reading. Read it right before you go to bed. But we agree with the premise that every child should have access to our facilities. I think you guys do too. We have children at the middle school and children at the high school who are handicapped, and they are in wheelchairs. We also had students who were injured, both of them in football in middle school and high school last year, that ended up being in wheelchairs for several months. So we agree with the premise that we must make our facilities ADA compliant. I think you guys would agree with that. We've asked you for the last at least 5 years to work with us to get the CTE building ADA compliant because we knew that that was not in compliant. Luckily, we were able to provide that with the money that you all gave us toward the needs-based grant, and we've gotten $1.9 million that went toward that. So if you read the report, a lot of it is the CTE building. So that's helpful, I think, that we were able to take care of the chunk before they came and said we had to do that. So we've met with the Office of Civil Rights multiple times. We've gone back and forth with them. You'll notice from the report, the gymnasium's in there. We pushed back on that. The gymnasium is ADA compliant. They've removed that from the list. The stadium is not part of the requirements, and several other pieces. So I believe when we met with the Finance Committee, you guys had asked us if we had tried to come up with compromises and work with them, and we have. They require us to take care of these within 12 months. So we pushed back and said, 12 months is pretty quick turnaround. So they said you have to make significant progress or take care of it within 12 months. And Olivia's been a little nervous about that because we don't have money kind of sitting around to take care of ADA compliance. But we are working hard to try to break this down for you. So we went and got a construction company and architect to give us some figures for anything that required construction. We've also looked at what we could do during our normal budget process. So there are some things we could bring to you during our normal maintenance budget process, but we can't abandon what we're going to give you in our normal budget process. For instance, we have an HVAC at the Commons area that's getting ready to go out. So we've got to bring you things that don't become emergencies. But we would request that you consider giving us a separate allotment for anything that would require construction. And we're going to give you those figures, and then Jay's kind of going to go over those with you. You would want multiple companies to actually tell you, but this is just one company telling us, and we have if you actually want to see the quote from the companies, we have that too, if you want to give each of them one.
First of all, these numbers, some of them came in at 4:55 today, and I haven't had much of a chance to look at them. And again, I would like for y'all to realize that I have done, and Olivia, and by the way, don't y'all think she would look good in orange stripes and black and white striped jumpsuits? And that's what we've been telling her the whole time of this. But anyway,
we feel like that these numbers are high. And we feel like that, with a little more time that we can come up with some better numbers, but these are the only numbers that we could get. And like I said, they only came in today in the 11th hour. So, based on what you have, based on what you see, I can tell you pretty much what needs to be done. You've seen the report. I would like to say that we have really pushed back what y'all ask us to do. And, unfortunately, it's another one of those mandates without funding. I mean, that's the only way you can basically look at it. You guys have dealt with it. School systems have dealt with it. This is my second go around in with another school district with the OCR review. And, they don't give you many options. And again, we also have to remember, we need to have all students to have access to all facilities. And that's probably the key to it. You can do this, and you guys are you're the holders of the purse strings, and we have to come to you and do due diligence on what we know and what we think is best. We have done some things that ended up being zero cost, just so you know that. And I think that's very important, especially with the auditorium, with the gym. We went back and found out some things. I think Olivia has actually made submissions back to the OCR people, and they agree, but they're sitting there waiting. Okay, what are you going to do? So that's why we're here tonight. And again, we would request that you do a separate line item, because we don't know what else to do. It's kind of another conundrum.
And if you want to explain just kind of what these are.
Okay, the main building, the restrooms and the math and science wing, it all came down to basically them not being the right heights, not the right fixtures. So we got a plumber to come in there and tell us what will it cost to put the correct fixtures and raise things, put the stalls so we can have a bathroom stall ADA compliant. And that's the same thing with the restrooms at the gym. That was a different scenario, because in order to maintain your the number of fixtures to adequately supply the gym, the simplest solution would have been just take out one fixture in the men's and the women's restroom and make an ADA compliant. But then you get into the code as far as how many urinals, how many commodes, how many whatever to handle the ball games. So again, you do this, you're trying to do a balancing act, because we could have done the first thing very cheaply. And they said, no, you got to maintain your ability to have enough restroom space for ball games. So the area rescue, that there is no way to, for kids, if they were on the second floor, if they were a handicapped kid, to get either downstairs. And so we have.
If you can't use the elevator.
Yep.
So this is equipment that goes on the stairs.
Yep, and it's they actually gave us other school systems to go contact, see what they were doing, and this is what we came up with.
Repeat that again about the elevator.
So if the elevator's
Yeah.
not able to be
Yeah.
used because it's a fire.
If you have a fire,
You have equipment on the stairs and you put the chair on that and you bring it all the way down. So it's just kind of a movable, it's called a rescue for the handicap chair.
the ADA, as far as the auditorium, I went over there last week and looked. This is one of those things that I hope we can eliminate, that $25,000. We don't know whether they're going to require us to build a platform at the back. But I looked at it, and the simplest solution to me was to remove some seats at the front. And you have to they have to be spaced out in different spaces.
Throughout the
And
auditorium.
throughout. And you have to have a companion chair, a companion seat, I won't say chair. So what I'm thinking is that we could remove some of the seats, especially on the front rows, on the sides, still leave a companion seat there and eliminate that money. And again, I'm trying to figure out these ways to do it the cheapest way we can possibly do it.
And still give access to the kids.
The field house is a whole different ballgame. You're dealing with Title IX and the ADA issues in the field house, because you do have females who take weightlifting. They don't, they're changing in the coach's office. And
No restroom.
unfortunately, the ladies that came said, where do the females change? Where's their equal and accessible space?
And I think the good thing there is we have the space that are showers currently that are not being used at all. They
Yep.
just need to be turned into a restroom and a changing area. And then it's almost equal to the boys. So that,
Right.
that's a fix. It's just an expensive fix, but it does fix it. We don't have to build onto the building. or anything like
Yeah, we're
that.
basically going to eliminate showers because nobody takes showers anymore and, they spray themselves. And if they did take showers, they've been there with their phones and
No showers.
taking videos and movies. So
No showers.
we're going to eliminate the showers and hopefully solve the problem.
Yep.
And, another thing is fire alarm. I mean, I have issues with some of these things, guys, just so you know that I'm on your side and not their side. Fire alarm in a building that has no wood in it and has no connectivity to the main building.
At the field house,
Yeah,
who paid for that? Youth Foundation or the county?
The county, I think, with some of that, like the weight room and things being paid for by the youth county.
yeah, but.
Yeah, and so the fire alarm is one where you could probably push back to say, there's not 100-person occupancy in that, and the building code does not require it. That's why it wasn't put in there to start with.
And I guess, and I talked to Brian one day, we were talking about some of this, and some of your issues was things are an inch.
Yeah,
You're gonna make, this is my issue with it. I can go to any school in this county, city, county, doesn't matter. Take a tape measure of me and the sink is a different distance from the floor.
Sure.
Okay? The petitions are they're different. I mean, every school is different. And I get it. I get giving the people access. But we can't, the government needs to step up and give us some money then if they want these things fixed. Because these are big ticket and
So we agree with you,
you're
but
saying, you're saying to us, we have our priorities here, but these are also priorities,
Yeah,
it's difficult.
we're being forced to fix
Well,
this group and not.
I get
this
it,
group.
I get it, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, you go across this whole state, you'd break the bank.
I
You
agree.
would break the bank. If
Sure.
you made every school do this, you would break the bank.
I was gonna say, I'm glad we did talk about this, when we first asked, well, why do we have this audit? And, I still am gonna go back just if I can. This was, through the Division of Career and Technical Education. On the bottom of this notice, let's simplify it. Do you think if you hadn't received a $1.8 million grant for your CTE, that you would have had an audit that followed it up? You think that didn't have one thing to do with it?
we had the formula for why we were picked. Elkin was picked 2 years ago, I believe, or 2 years.
Did they have a CTE grant before that?
No, it's a similar, formula for all the schools.
So career and technical education, the Office of Civil Rights picks a small school district, a medium school district, and a large school district categorized in the state of North Carolina every year based on a rubric. And 60% of the rubric was, we'd never had an audit before. So we got the highest number of points for 60% of our points. The other two categories that kind of put us up were our number of ESL students that take career and technical education and our number of EC students that take career and technical education. And so they look into those, like, are we, why do we have such a high number? But they did not deem that a cause that for concern because they saw that
They
we
may
were
not have
actually
deemed it
equally
a cause,
letting
but
them
I'm gonna
access.
say a $1.8 million career and technical grant probably had a lot to do with it, is just my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I make that point to say, you got a $1.8 million grant, but it looks like it's gonna cost $400,000 or $500,000 a minimum to have received it. And I'm not saying that's your fault or that was a bad thing. I'm just saying beware of some of these federal grants nowadays. They do come with strings, or they may come looming in the dark sometime later.
Well, the CTE grant is from the General Assembly in North Carolina. It's not a federal.
Well, wherever this comes from, have you, and we asked you in the, whether it's be state or federal, or.
Yeah, it comes from the lottery money.
Okay, so it does come from a lot
It's
of
just
money.
state,
That was
completely
my- That
state.
was my, you know, we
Yep.
talked about that the first meeting and I wasn't quite clear about that.
Yep.
The other thing was, we did say, what's it gonna cost? And at the time, we didn't know if it's gonna be 800,000 or 1 million, but I am glad to hear that you got it down to 400 and something. And then we asked you if you had any pushback at the state level. And I mean, just because they say, whoops, sorry, we've caught you, we've come in and done an unannounced audit, so you've got 12 months to spend $400,000 or $500,000 or $600,000. You know, this is still a democracy. I say we ought to push back just a little bit and say, wait a minute, tap the brakes. Nobody's bleeding out here. We're going to fix this, but you can't even hire a contractor, get him on the job hardly in 12 months, let alone mitigate a $600,000 or $700,000 building project. So I just want to make those points that
Absolutely.
we don't, you know, just because they've said you got 12 months or the boogeyman's coming after you, let's
Sure.
slow down just a little bit and before we make a decision from this board about how much we're going to fund and how much we're going to fund separate from the regular requested amount, I'd say let's hold the brakes and let's let everybody have an ability to weigh in on, wait a minute, we've got this horrible audit and here's a copy of the letter. Now that we've got a copy of the letter, and maybe even say to some of our state representatives, wait a minute, what can you do to help us tap the brakes here just a little bit? Some of this
Sure.
stuff is crazy.
Well, and I immediately pushed back to Olivia, and we had a meeting right away with them to say, you know, everything that you're listing out, what we did on our own by going to the state covers almost a third of this. And so they said, if you make significant progress within that first year, that they could possibly let us do a little bit more beyond that. But we met with them twice over that, because that was my first concern. Because I've got like an HVAC that's getting ready to go out, which has to come to you all for budget or becomes an emergency. Well, we've built that into our regular budget process. Well, that eats a huge part of our budget because we don't get a lot of budget. And so then they said, but these other things have to have significant progress. So if you'll notice, we don't have the stadium in there. That would have been a huge cost. We now don't have the gymnasium in there, which would have been a huge cost. You don't have the old junior high in there. You don't, I mean, we have really worked to where we're like, these are the things that probably if a handicapped child tried to access, they couldn't access it. And so we're just saying, we need to fix this. And if you can come up with a timeline that the Office of Civil Rights can live with, we can set up a meeting with the representative and you guys. And you can say, here's our plan. It might take 2 years for us to do it, but here's how we're making significant progress. We would love for that to happen, because we did not come, you know, thinking this was even anywhere on the radar. I just got an email from Olivia that said, we're one of the 3 districts that's going to be audited. So we're with you in the fact that we don't have the money to fix it in 12 months. We think we could make some significant progress by at least tackling one of these projects and then having a plan in place to tackle the others. That's what we would think.
It's easy to come in and point these things out. They've not lived in the real world. They've not lived in the real world. Obviously, they've not done home improvements, and the supply chain issues all the way down.
Right.
It is not gonna happen in 12 months.
I mean, you're looking at 12 months for if you had to do an HVAC,
Just
just
to
a
order it.
unit, just.
Yes, we experienced that this summer with our sheriff's office trying to get air conditioning.
We just did it with the auditorium, but I want to make sure that you guys understand that we did push back. I mean, because
I hope you
again,
jumped up and down and screamed a little while he's doing.
Well, I think if you actually went through and got a quote on the report, it's over 3 million. So if you think about cutting it down, and we really think you can get below 420,000 because we just got one quote just to see kind of what we were talking about. And I have those justified quotes here if you want me to leave those for you just from one company. I can leave that, and I can leave the plumbing company.
What's your timeline on this? You want us to take this up here in the context of the next fiscal year's budget or?
We feel like we need to make significant progress. They did not define what that means. And then we have to have a plan for the rest of it. So I would say if you could give us a separate allotment. Now, remember, all the food labs, all the carpentry labs, and all the construction labs, we're going to assume that debt. So once we have the building, then Olivia's going to use her CTE allocation for what we would have been paying for, maybe a greenhouse or the drone installation that we have to do. We'll have to go to make ADA compliant in all these labs, Because in the CTE renovation, we have nothing in the labs. We don't have any of the furniture, any of that. It's really just the building. Because costs went way up from when we first wrote that grant. Now they're 1.9 million, and basically you get the elevator and the building and the bathrooms. You don't get the stuff in it. So we're going to assume all that debt, which would easily be about $500,000.
Is the state going back, this is just a crazy question, is the state going back and making any inflationary adjustments to any of those grants that you're aware of?
Kind of grants, I'm sorry.
Well, CTE, I mean, the 1.9
You
million.
get what you're originally allocated and you have to live within that. And we are coming in under budget on that and would love for you guys to visit right now because the elevator shaft is built and the classroom's almost built. And you probably want to see it before it actually gets finished. They're making really good progress on that. So we'll stay under budget with that. We picked up 2 HVACs through ESSER. We can outline exactly for you, and we will in our regular budget say, here's what we paid for with ESSER. You guys know we brought in $4 million worth of grants in 2 years. It's all gone to these costs. Now we're saying we get this OCR cost that we didn't realize we were going to have. And we have children that are handicapped that cannot access these pieces. We just need your help on this piece, which we think we can get down to at least 300,000.
Yeah, when I saw these numbers, I was like,
It's high.
I don't agree with them, but it's the
Well-
only numbers we could bring y'all tonight. And
I'm just gonna cut to the chase right here. You know what? I'm glad it's 300,000 instead of 3 million. But the fact remains, this board, at the end of the day, all we do is set priorities with the revenues that we have. I mean, we get all kinds of requests for big numbers of monies. And, you know, I guess it depends on, do you love this one better than you love that one? Do you love the public schools better than you love the health department? That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And so you have to make those hard choices and where you want to allocate your monies. And so that's what we have to do.
And we know that that was the case, like when you did the Elkin $11 million gym. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
You guys felt that was a priority and we got around $1 million. That was a priority at the time. We're just coming back now and saying, can we have a little bit of that?
Yeah.
Just a little bit, so we don't have to own that and have to cut some of our maintenance.
Everything we talk about is high school. What about your other 3 campuses? They didn't get audited?
Career technical education is at the high school, so that's where you're able to do those audits.
So I assume this thing is in our county schools and Elkin city schools too?
The programs?
Yeah.
Yes, and Elkin was audited a few years ago. And the gym was one of their, that they were asked to
Well,
be
I'm
fixed.
just saying, it went like 10 years before they finally got fixed or getting fixed.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Instead of 12 months.
Yes.
12 months to get something done, I think that's a joke, but that's what they put in there. But, what do they do if it don't happen?
So I asked Dr. Cox about that because I'm just telling you, at the very beginning, the timeline threw me. And she said the significant progress was the fact that you guys had it on a list and you were going for the funding for it. And it showed that you had prioritized that.
Okay.
We got it on the list and they're going for it somehow, somewhere, but probably not in 12 months.
I'm just saying that,
It's not $11 million either.
every building, every
coming in
school building in
considerably
Surry
under that.
County, I think, has
Right.
a ADA problem or whatever, the sink
Sure.
ain't quiet, or it ain't petitioned right, or the whatever, and that bothers me. The orders, if it's within an inch or something, that's the way things work. That's the reason we pay $5 for nickel bolts.
While you're saying that, Mr. Johnson, it bothered me so much that I took a rule
And
out there
measured.
and checked behind them because,
Yeah,
to me, it's ridiculous.
well, that's just
But
like.
I can't help what they say.
That's just like a lot of things we look at, just laying on somebody's desk collecting dust, but we ain't got no control.
Well, and the restrooms in the math and science wing are some of those that were just like the ones on the top floor are not ADA compliant, but the ones on the bottom floor are ADA compliant. They were built at the same time by the same company. So that 19,000, for instance, is one of those that's just inches.
They grandfather nothing when they come back 10
They
years
do.
later?
It's based on whatever year the renovation happened. But the same company that did the renovation had ADA compliant on one floor, but they were a different level on the second floor and they were not compliant. That's why he went out and measured them.
Never touched the building, they can't say a word.
Yep.
You can get back to the 1920s, and if there'd never been a renovation, but they look at the last date, we had to provide them the last date the building was renovated.
Yep.
And that's what we even argued with them about the gym and the commons area bathroom as to where the renovation started. And, you know, it's, again, it's government interaction and them telling you, not you being able to ask them. And
Yeah. And the gym would have been like a complete replacement of the gym bleachers, but we pushed back on that. We showed where it is ADA compliant. They were good with that and they removed it from the report.
Dr. Morrison, in regards to, like, yes, it was, we feel like it was Elkin's turn.
Sure.
And if I ain't mistaken, as long as some of us have been on the board, I think y'all jumped a cycle or two. I think we've helped Mount Airy just as much as anybody. I don't think you've been neglected, is what I'm trying to say at all. Because I think we even jumped, we put you in front of something else that had to be,
Sure.
$1 million or $2 million here or something. So, I'm not taking offense to what you say, but I feel like you've been taken care of very well, since I've been on board. And I feel like, you presented it to us and that's a start.
Sure.
And we'll discuss it. And I think you're gonna spend some more time with us here next month.
Right.
And
you're gonna get some more estimates, right?
And I'll be
You gonna
glad,
push back some more?
I'll be glad to come sit down with y'all at any time rather than a public setting and let y'all have some suggestions. I'll be glad to work,
Well-
do whatever we can do. And I mean, obviously, I think y'all realize I am gonna push back because I don't necessarily agree with everything they say but it's, I mean, y'all just
We are
experienced
required-
being in a conundrum. I
And
just saw y'all
We are
experience
required to
it.
respond to them right away.
Yeah.
So we'll have to say that we're working with our county commissioners. Within the month, we'll come back with what we think the plan is because they will come down on us with sanctions and things like that. So, but we'll meet with you guys and find out what that timeline is on your end.
Mr. Chairman, I do like the idea of them sitting down with the finance committee, as to begin with, more. And
Yeah.
then bring it out. more.
Okay, well,
I like
when you
that.
get your estimates and we get a little more into the process and after we have the next budget meeting and things, we'll sit down again and you let them know that you're in discussions with us.
Okay.
And all this stuff comes at us like a fire hose.
Right.
And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And the grants and the DEI and the equity and the social justice crap. And I mean, all of that stuff, it just permeates everything and stuff like this. I mean, you just can't, I don't know where it's going to end, but it just inundates us all the time. Yeah.
I want to say, we don't have to have all this time consumed in public arenas, but I do think it was very important, and I want to thank you coming out of our finance committee when I first heard this, and I thought, golly, 800 to $1 million, and what kind of audit is this? And I think it's fair for the taxpayer to understand what kind of challenges we have. And I think it's fair for you guys to come in a public forum and lay them out so people can understand, just like this last conundrum, Mr. Temple, you referred to. If you explain the conundrum, people understand the pressure sometimes, and it's not always what we agree to, but I appreciate you. I am glad you come and made a public presentation about this audit and your problem. And I appreciate you pushing back.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Any of you folks, y'all want to have anything to add? Nope. Okay. All right. Nice to see y'all. Thank you, Olivia.
Come again.
Stripes, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm in full agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a new jail. We'll fix a place for her over there. Yeah.
Reservation.
Yeah. Okay, Melissa Hyatt, Greater Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce. That sounds like something important. You don't have a road that needs closing, do you? Or
I don't have a road that needs closing. I don't want money and I don't have a fire hose. But I don't ever want to be last again, Mr. Because I've been in this room many, many times and I usually sit in a seat I'm comfortable in. I don't think it was a comfortable seat in the house tonight.
That's for sure.
But I am here tonight to represent the Greater Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for giving us time on your agenda. That I will be brief, I promise, because you still have county business to get to. The Greater Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce has rekindled its Public Policy Committee. I am here tonight to represent a group of 12 individuals that are either business owners or business leaders in the community. The chairman of our Public Policy Committee is Tonda Phillips, who is a little bit shy sometimes. So I got the honor to speak to you tonight. The goals of the Public Policy Committee are to be the organized go-to source for businesses in the community about public policy, the things that you do in this meeting, things that happen in municipal government meetings, but also on the state and federal level, so that they have someone to come to get information. But we also want to be that conduit from you and them to the business owners. So in that, we've started that we will start quarterly reporting to you things that are going on to the chamber, things that are happening in the community that are of interest to business owners. And we'd like for you to send that information back out to us when there's something coming. We want to work as a partner with economic development and with municipalities to make sure that the business owners feel like they have a voice and that they're being heard and that they have a resource that they can count on. As you know, the mission of the chamber is to advance, promote, and encourage successful business growth to our members. And we envision that the Greater Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce can be that regionally to the area of Surry County. Over the past couple of months, we've had some nice accomplishments. One was rekindling this group and fostering some new relationships with municipalities that we didn't have. We made this report to Mount Airy City Commissioners last week. We also have dates to do this in Pilot, Dobson, and Elkin, so that everyone hears the same report quarterly. We previously held a very successful State of the Union with our speaker to that event, Mr. Chris Knopf, and I think that he broke a record for the highest interest and the quickest sellout of tickets. So I don't know that you knew you had reached celebrity status, but you have. Nobody else has sold out an event that quickly. You might be called on quite more often to speak since you carry that with you. On the horizon, we have a second series coming. Mr. Kenny Flowers, who is the Secretary of Rural Economic Development for the state, will be in the county on April 3rd at White Sulphur Springs, and we hope that you'll attend that event. And then the Public Policy Committee, as I said, would continue this lecture series with that. And then the group will also be sponsoring a Candidate 101 forum in the fall. The Greater Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce has done that once before, but we do that with an effort so that when folks decide they want to run for public office, as each of you did, that they know a little bit more about it. Don't go into it blindly and know that it's not all a barrel of monkeys and a lot of laughs, that you really are in the hot seat so that they understand. The support that we hope to give to the community is just what I said earlier, the connection between government, economic development, and the chamber. We feel like our community is at a tipping point. There are a lot of good things going on, but we want to make sure that we're all on the same page and one of us isn't going off in one direction when the other two are going off in another, so that we have that open line of communication. Also to support you, that when there are things that businesses don't understand that you've made a decision on, hopefully we can help to explain that and make it soften to the community a little bit. As I said, that event with Kenny Flowers is on April 3rd. We also have an event Thursday night, which is our Excellence in Business Awards. That's at Cross Creek. Some of the agencies that are being represented or being awarded are tied to the county. So we hope that you will attend that. If you don't have information on it, please let me know. I'll be happy to get you that information or get you a seat for that event. That is all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Gentlemen?
I just want to thank you, Melissa, and the Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce. I attended Mount Airy's commissioners meeting last week, and Rick Perkins done a good job there, and I appreciate the chamber stepping up to the plate.
Thank you.
We can all share that same plate and even maybe drink out of the sauce for a little bit together.
Exactly right. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, thank you. All right, Mr. County Manager, Chris Knopf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item I have is relevant to one of the comments in open forum, and that is litter collection submittals. Last fiscal year, the board started allocating $5 from the household availability fee that's on every tax bill to be set aside to go towards litter collection on secondary roads. And these are the secondary roads that are not addressed by NCDOT. Last fiscal year, when that was in place, we did not have any interested third parties who wanted to offer bids on this particular kind of work. In the last couple of months, the board, as well as county employees, have really been promoting the program, hoping that we would get some submittals, and we did. In the last few weeks, we've received, as you see in your packet, 5 submittals. We have reviewed those at the staff level. And as you can see in the memo from Jessica Montgomery, who's here this evening, the lowest price was at $148 per road mile. This is both shoulders. And it was submitted by BCA Fencing. We would like to propose at the board's discretion that we enter into an initial contract for up to 6 months, beginning as early as April 1st. And we could also use this as a trial period to ensure that the contractor is getting compensated fairly, since it is somewhat of a guessing game at this point as to what their costs will be and what we should expect. We would hope to have over 500 road miles picked up during this 6-month period. That would be our goal. If we don't get there, of course, we'll take what we can get. You have the information from the submittals, as well as attached to the manager's items was a map that has various road segments in the county highlighted, and just there's a general review. It is color coded based on certain types of locations. And of course, this is feedback from staff, from board members over the last couple of years about some of the worst areas in the county. Areas around schools seem to be, especially during the school year, seem to be some of the worst. So those are highlighted along the road center lines on the map in a red color. The green highlighted areas are those that are around county recycling centers, of course, where trash is disposed of by a lot of the citizens. The sort of mauve colored areas are what we would call problem areas at this point. They generally are in commercial areas that are within rural areas. And then the blue dotted line, those are just road segments in general that typically have a lot of litter. Of course, this map can be changed at any time. One thing I don't have this evening that I will get you, I want to get a breakdown of the actual mileage of these different categories. So I will get that to the board in the coming weeks. But this just kind of gives you an idea about where we're going to start as far as what we're going to try to address in these 6 months. And some of this will be repetitive. It won't just be one time. It'll be multiple times.
Are you talking about the red and the green zones that's highlighted here?
It would be all of these zones regardless of category. We just wanted to break it down to show you why these areas are highlighted. And if there are other areas that need to be added to the map, we can do that as well. It's sort of a living, breathing document that we will change as needed. You know, for instance, some of these road segments, Piper's Gap, Linville Road, are some of the worst in the area. McKinney Road, sections of it are pretty bad. Those just around Mount Airy. Also have Mountain Park Road seems to have issues, Red Hill Creek Church Road. So I don't think we'll have any shortage of areas in which to collect litter. But we hopefully, as someone said recently, they tend to believe that when a road is covered in litter, people tend to litter more than they do roads that aren't. So hopefully this will start to make a difference. But that's our recommendation. I don't know if Jessica has anything to add.
So you're basically looking for to do a 6-month contract trial with BCA, is that right?
Yes, that's our recommendation.
Mr. Johnson?
I have 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Who will direct them? Who will direct these companies to go where?
We will create a list of priorities from the map. Jessica and I will work on that. And then she will deal directly with the contractor.
Okay. How about the landfill fees?
Those I guess we'd always said they would be waived for this type of operation, just like we do for the DOT contractors.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They will be waived. That's correct.
Yeah, but she will keep up with the tickets so we can keep up with tonnage for reporting.
Well, is that, I mean, that's a plus, I think, but is that, I mean, how's it gonna affect the funds of the landfill? I mean, it's just something we eat, we're gonna absorb. Is that?
Well, we're doing it now for the DOT contractor who's doing it either monthly or quarterly, depending on the road type.
Well, they give us a little something in return, though.
That's true.
They picked up.
I would imagine if we're gonna charge them landfill fees, that's gonna change their rate of pay.
Well, I mean, I'm just asking the question. I'm fine. I want it picked up.
Well-
I'm just asking the question.
Even if we have to reimburse the enterprise fund at the landfill out of a general fund, I
Okay.
mean, we can rob Peter to pay Paul.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I just asked the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gentlemen?
Good, I'm happy with it.
I just want to say a couple of things here. I did get I read the Wilkes Journal Patriot once in a while, and I saw the article in there last week. This past Thursday, contractors hired by county gets nearly 2 tons of trash. Well, that raised my eyebrows up because we've had a difficulty finding contractors. But picked up 2 tons of trash on all these roads over there. And some of the commissioners noted it was a good start. And working on North Carolina 268, their landfills on 268 between Rhonda and Roaring River. Trash, Keith Elmore, I spoke to Chairman Keith Elmore today. He says it's a longstanding problem in Wilkes. It's a problem everywhere, apparently. And I was just wanting to tell, Keith sent me, he says our director, Andrea Bird, is working with Surry County Landfill Director. We have several vendors we're working with, H&A out of Statesville, Fox out of Mulberry, and K&A out of Rhonda. And he goes on a little bit more here. So have you talked to those folks, Jessica? Okay. All right. I don't know if any of those folks would be willing to bid on roads over here. Okay, all right. So they're in some of these proposals here. Okay. The other thing too, I want to say is, I know we haven't had a litter committee meeting in a long time. I just haven't seen a big need to, I mean, it's an ad hoc committee. And I've had some requests about it, and you know, anybody can attend a litter committee meeting, and Ms. Eldridge, Ms. Eldridge, if y'all will give I will give your phone number to the county staff here. And when we do have a litter committee meeting, we'll let you folks know. And you can let others know that, that may be interested. Larry, how long have we had a litter committee in Surry County? How long have we had a litter committee? It's been,
I think about the whole time we've been, about at least 5 years.
yeah, it's been quite a while. So litter is a concern for Surry County, and it is a top priority, and I'm glad that we're getting some contractors to work on this, and I think it's money well spent. I think especially around places like the airport and Mount Airy, because we get a lot of people into the airport, and I think Holly Springs Road was a road that we'd had a lot of complaints on. And that area, as well as or Sheep Farm Road going to the landfill, and some of those places.
Well, it's 52 going to landfill.
Yeah.
It's pretty messy.
That's the worst.
Worst.
That's the reason I want to put a plug in for Cook School Road to Hyatt Road.
The other thing I wanted to address is you know, the Surry County used to have they used to put a dumpster out at the recycling centers, like a construction dumpster for people to put construction materials in and trash that you couldn't normally put in one of our dumpsters now. And it seemed to be that it was misused a lot for construction materials. People would drive up with construction materials and actually fill the entire dumpster up. And there was a lot of abuse of that. So we did away with that. The old landfill, of course, over at Elkin has been closed many years. We can't use that facility per North Carolina law. We still have to monitor wells over there and that sort of thing. Transfer station never did work for Surry County. We actually had a transfer station at the old landfill there in Elkin. And truthfully, a lot of people in my end of the county, they go to the Wilkes County landfill. But they're probably not supposed to do that, but they
We
do. I mean,
appreciate that.
if you live in Elkin, you're not going to drive to Mount Airy. You're going to go to Roy River, Rhonda to the landfill. But anyway, trash is a priority for us, and I'm glad we're working on it. Thank you, Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next item is a follow-up from the last meeting, also sort of litter, I guess, related.
Are we gonna take action on this?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Johnson, second Commissioner Marion to enter in a contract with BCA fencing for litter pickup. Any discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Next item is follow-up from last meeting. The board reviewed a situation where in our nonprofit litter collection program, which is administered through the Development Services Department, where nonprofit groups can pick up litter, coordinating with that department, and receive $8 a bag for every bag of litter collected. So we had some Boy Scouts that went out and collected litter. In addition to the 47 bags of litter they collected, they also collected 100 used tires. The tires are not something that we've dealt with in the past. And so the board was looking for a recommendation on how to compensate groups potentially for the collection of used tires. And so after consideration by staff, we felt that we would recommend the collection of 3 tires be equal to the approved price per bag of litter. We're not mentioning a specific price. Of course, that's $8 right now because that price changes. So we want to make sure we just sort of have a formula. If you collect some percentage of that, you would get the proper percentage of the price per bag as well. So we would recommend, and of course, the board can discuss this, 3 tires equal to a bag of litter collected.
I'll make a motion that we take that recommendation.
Have a motion, Commissioner Goins, second Commissioner Tucker, to use the county manager's tire formula. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Yes, we have other things that lay out there besides tires. I mean, do you want to try to include some big items like a mattress? I mean, I've seen 2 mattresses today. I mean, what do you do? I mean, I know we got to start somewhere and I'm tickled, but we don't leave the mattress laying.
Could we leave at the discretion of our public works or landfill folks to make a judgment call on that?
I agree.
For big.
I'm just saying, we don't need to leave it out. I mean,
Because one of
they
them
need to be compensated if they're willing to volunteer and
One
do it.
one of them might be a single and one of them might be a king size.
Well, I'm just bringing it up. I'd like to see, I would like, that's fine with me, let the discretion of our staff handle that when
That's kind of ambiguous, though. Does it need to be formalized a little bit more than
I
that?
guess you'd have mattresses, furniture, appliances.
I mean, can we just
that's what I'm
start,
saying.
can we just start with the tires and
Volkswagens.
can we just start with the tires and see how this goes? Or you want to start on down the mattress, washing machine, refrigerator?
Volkswagen.
Well,
mean-
I see where you're coming from, Mr. Chairman, on that, but we'll just be happy that we got this started and we can go with that. I just hate to see it still laying after they picked up.
Well, other than tires, could we go per pound? What big item they bring in? I don't know. Wait.
We're not taking in any rocks, or
Mattress is full of rocks.
Let's go with the tires and we'll work on something for these other items.
Okay,
So we got something specific.
I'm fine with that, sir.
All right. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, okay. Mhm.
Next item, as we've talked about for a few meetings now, the vacancy to replace Mr. Brown on the Board of Equalization and Review. They'll start meeting next month. Does the board have any names for consideration?
I believe we determined, Mr. Chairman, that we try to divide it among the county regions in the districts from which all representatives, commissioners here represent. Did we decide that was not a central district appointment? Probably, did we not?
Things like we talked about, maybe the Low Gap, Beulah area. When we looked at the current roster of members.
Yeah.
I may be thinking of something else we discussed. That's the only thing that comes.
I think that's right, because what caused this vacancy to, we had a death on one of the members. And it was in the East District of which I reside, and we determined that since there was already one from the Pilot Mountain area, which compromised, which was two, which would have been two, we decided it was I'm sure we decided it was a central district appointment to kind of scatter it out evenly amongst the county.
Okay, well,
Is that
maybe-
right, Mr.
Maybe
Goins?
after the discussion tonight, with my phone will be flooded with people wanting to be on that committee.
I'm sure.
You think so, huh?
Yeah,
Well, fine.
I'd have called.
I
The
do,
only thing I say, flip a coin with them, Commissioner Mary.
I will add this, our tax director, Penny Harrison, did call, and there is some sense of urgency to try to get this filled due to some upcoming business that is pertinent to that we need to move on this sooner rather than later. So I'll just offer up that I think we
Our
need to
next-
have a
Name at the
Wouldn't mind.
April 3rd meeting.
Yeah, we'll have our next meeting at Oakland High School, so if you got a name, bring it. Yeah. Mhm.
But we're gonna leave it up to Commissioner Mary and Ian to recommend.
Well, I
Don't
mean,
leave it all up to me, because, y'all might know some people that I don't.
well, yeah, if anybody, but that's the area that's lacking representation. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
I know you know a lot of people up in that area, and Larry
Yeah.
does too, and
all
so.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it back
I
on.
feel my phone ringing now.
Last item I have is follow-up from previous meeting regarding the Invest in Surrey discussion. There were a few items you requested to have in your packet, which have been provided, and then there's a couple items that were at your, each of your seats here at the front. There is an updated spreadsheet on the overall Invest in Surrey program, which takes into account the $350,000 allocation at the last meeting to the town of Dobson for the pump station upgrade that's going to handle the new detention center load, as well as some other areas of town. I think total, that was a $1.5 million project for the town. That has been added to the spreadsheet here. Also, there was a request for a list, I think Commissioner Johnson, of all the groups that received a nonprofit grant last year. That's been provided. That's a two-sided document. There were a total of 37 of those. Also, Denise Brown in Finance worked with the Shepherd's House staff to get some information related to their loan. That has been provided in the packet. She also provided some basic information there related to the nonprofit grant program and also the community development allocations in the Invest in Surrey program. I'd be happy to answer any questions related to what's been included in the packet in each of your seats.
So this is just for informational purposes, is that right?
Well, there was a discussion of the request from the last meeting due to this project was filtered towards, or not filtered, but focused towards the home ARPA program and the $2 million allocation there. But when the project was voted on by the Housing Consortium Board, along with a project that's between Elkin and Dobson, the federal government, HUD, basically rejected this project based on the fact that it's assisting with a loan repayment, not new construction. The other project was approved because it will involve new construction at some point in the future, in the near future. When that was, when that information was provided to the housing staff, they relayed it to me. Had a meeting with them to try to get a better understanding of it before bringing it to the board during the last meeting. So when we discussed it, there was discussion about how to potentially address the request as a part of Invest in Surrey, since the home ARPA funding would not be a source that would be available.
I like to comment. Thank you for the list, a reminder of how we was able to help actually all of Surry County with their request. I know a few didn't qualify, but I think we spread it around real well. And to my understanding, the reason Shepherd House, it was taken for granted that they had a large investment coming their way to help them with their loan. And so it doesn't appear on our 2 pages of how we helped with the Invest in Surry money for them. So I'm certainly going to be in favor of some type of a nice amount to help them as we have others in the county. I'd like to go ahead and hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Chairman.
No, you're fine. Absolutely. Mr. County Manager, where would those funds come from? Where would we have to move around funds in the Invest in Surrey to? So
I think it would be like the last meeting where you moved them from a potential future water and sewer project allocation. That was,
Well,
But we
Done a
also
lot
have
of,
a balance at the bottom. It's unaccounted for too.
right.
a lot of thinking since the last meeting and, just to alleviate some of that, pressure of where the money would come from, I would, kind of like to maybe split it up a couple of years. Use Invest in Surrey the first year and general fund second year. 150,000 Invest in Surrey first year and 2024, 2023, 24, then 24, 25 come out of general fund. That way it wouldn't completely drain.
how much money are you talking about?
300,000
No.
altogether, 2 years. These folks at the Shepherd's House have embarked on this journey. They've got a 64-bed facility. They haven't sat on their thumbs since they've built this new building. They've got out and they've fundraised over $2 million. They worked really hard for this and they do a lot of good for the folks that are there. And I've got personal dealings with this place and they do an outstanding job. And along with other folks that do things like this to help people that transition from jail or bad situations to taking them in and counseling with them. So we didn't do much for them because we thought the housing consortium was going to step up and help them out, and they were told they were going to get that money. And then the federal government kind of pulled the rug out from under us. And I still don't understand why, but and I'm going to ask that question this week during our meeting, the Housing Consortium. And so I am suggesting 150,000 from Invest in Surrey for this year and 150 from general fund next year.
Can I get you to clarify your timing again? Because I think you said this
Invest
coming
in-
year would be
invest in Surrey.
23, 24
Invest in Surrey ASAP.
ASAP.
And for the remaining 150 from general fund next year. Next budget session.
Could I offer a compromise to that train of thought? I can't think hardly down the road for one budget cycle, let alone into 24, 25. I mean, Shepherd's House is a wonderful organization. I want you folks to know that I believe that and appreciate everything you do. Funding is another issue that has to be applied to a lot of people on the list. And I'd suggest we go ahead and just appropriate 200,000 now out of the Invest in Surrey if we have it. And then
There's 199,577 in the remainder down
that's
there.
about what we got left. Maybe we don't have quite that much left and spend what we know we have. And then rather than make a commitment on what we're going to take out of the general fund, which is right much over a year from now, we take into consideration what comes between now and then. I noticed in this letter, I didn't know this, but I noticed the county report says that the Shepherd's House has also put in a request for this coming 24 budget for $387,638. So, I mean, I say rather than jump down the road 25, 6 months, let's just give them 200,000 tonight, and that's how much money we've got available on this list.
The only reason I said that was, the way we done the Arts Council, we done it, split it up in 4 years. 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000.
Yeah, but we've already
To
done it.
alleviate that,
Yeah.
that's the reason I said to split it out 1 year to the next.
Yeah,
So-
we've already spent a
know
lot of
that- I
that
know what
money
that
we knew
argument
we had
is.
in things.
Well, I think, well, go ahead. Anyone else want to, anything else?
I think it's cleaner. I mean, if you have the money available, I think it's cleaner this way. And I do agree, looking to another budget year. And we have a challenging budget year this year. We get to next year and we can't, we gotta, it's kind of like Commissioner Harris said, we gotta, we gotta look at all of it. We hate to tell them, say, well, we said this, but,
Well, I'm gonna put my 2 cents in here. And I appreciate that. We got this list here. 200,000 is a big lead on this list. I mean, the Hugh Chatham Hospital only got 300,000. The other thing that, that stands out in my mind that's significant is, there was 25,000 appropriated for the Shepherd's House in the existing fiscal year budget that we have. And you're jumping that request to a 300 and what was it?
387,000.
387,000 requests. I don't know how much traction that'll get this year in the budget thing. But the elephant in the room for me on a huge request like this is what we're facing at the health department, the renovations there, and those bids haven't come in. We simply have no idea. And public health is a priority, as we all have learned the last few years. And public safety is a priority. We have a $40 million jail getting ready to come online. We have tremendous requests from the sheriff's department, personnel requests, pay raise requests, all of those requests that are significant. Public health and public safety are the 2 paramount components that this board has to deal with, and they loom large in whatever it is that we do. The incidental things that come to this board, like a school compliance audit from the federal government that Mount Airy is facing, is those things come up all the time. So, you have to butter the bread on as many places as you can, because these are huge requests. And you gentlemen can make whatever kind of motions you want to make. That's fine. I will not support anything going into the next fiscal year. And I think the Shepherd's House is a wonderful organization. Tonight, I will support a $200,000 appropriation with the remainder of the Best in Surry monies, because those monies are there. Even though the health department renovations will have to come out of Invest in Surry in some form or fashion if we come overbid in those numbers. So that's where I'm at. Gentlemen, I'll entertain motions.
I'd like to make one comment for even any kind of motion is made.
Okay.
Commissioner Marion, I'm with you, but I will support an alternative. It appears from other commissioners that might not pass, but I'm with you if you want to make that motion that you recommended, but I just sort of.
Like a motion that's already knows it's not gonna pass, so.
Well, that's the reason I wanted to comment before a motion was made. I want it to be a successful motion.
Pre-worked.
And, but I'll support you in your original thoughts if that motion was to come up, knowing that it don't sound like it would pass, but I'll stick with what you wanted I don't know if that fails. Do you turn around and make another motion? I don't know the process. I don't remember the process.
I'm entertaining motion, gentlemen.
Chairman, I'll make a motion. We grant the Shepherd's House $200,000 out of funds that we have on paper that we'll have available out of the Invest in Surry funds.
Okay,
tonight.
I have a motion, from Commissioner Tucker, to appropriate $200,000 and invest in Surrey funds to the Shepherd's House. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Goins. Any more discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder, the next meeting on April 3rd will be at Elkin High School, and it will start at 6 p.m. And the calendar, the meeting calendar has been amended at the previous meeting to allow that remote meeting. And we have a request for closed session following general county business.
So did you say we need to amend our calendar?
Oh, we've already done that.
Oh, we already did. Okay. All right. So, okay, gentlemen, general county business, you all have anything? I was going to discuss the grant policy thing that's on the general county business there, but I'll entertain you guys, whatever you got. Okay, all right. I know a lot of times this board has to deal with grants, from federal grants, state grants, all kinds of grants. And it seems to me that a lot of these grants have a lot of things attached to them, from the federal government, the state government, wherever it may be. And I was wanting to get a consensus of the board for the county to maybe get the county manager and the attorney and county staff to write up some kind of grants policy. And specifically, what I'm referring to is and I understand that grants are complex and they're from very divergent organizations and that sort of thing within the federal government and within state government. And what I'm specifically referring to is, it seems to me that we have to sign on to these grants as a county board of commissioners, and the federal government in particular, as well as some components of state government, try to ram politics down the throat of county boards of commissioners. And I don't like it. And what I'm specifically referring to is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, social justice, equity, all of those things that come under the heading of woke. They are repugnant to me, and I don't agree with them. And the federal government has something new called ESG, emotional social governance. And I'm not saying that there are ways that we get around these requirements, but I think particularly groups, whether it be the Board of Elections or any group that comes to us from the county wanting us to accept a grant, I think we as the County Board of Commissioners, a lot of these things are long and they're hard to read and they're complex. And I just think that we ought to know if any of these things are in the grants before when they present us a proposal to accept a grant. I think they ought to disclose to us, county staff or the organization that is asking us to accept a grant on their behalf. They should say, okay, these are the things it has in it that are controversial. And it is pure politics. It is pure and nothing more than pure partisan politics in these grants. And it is full of racial components. And of course, everyone is all in favor of people being treated fairly, no matter who they are. And I certainly adhere to that. But I think some of this is just getting completely out of control. And I think this board ought to be aware of it. And I think we need a grants policy that when these things are presented to the County Board of Commissioners, that they're disclosed to us from whatever organization it is that's wanting us to accept the grant. And county staff could formulate that policy, I think, and bring a proposal or something to the board. Any interest in this?
I'm certainly interested, Mr. Chairman. I feel like we'd have to have somewhat of a professional to identify, I mean, pick these things out, wouldn't we? Somebody that's, knows the language other than Mr. Chairman?
Well, it just gets harder and harder to do this job, and with folks trying to ram the politics and tie your hands up. But for heaven's sake, there's so many restrictions on this stuff, and a lot of it's, most of it's out of the federal government, I'll say that, and some of the organizations that we do business with. I'm not saying that we can't accept grants that have some of this stuff in there, but I think we ought to be aware of the particulars and specifically what it is. But nevertheless, if there's no interest in it on this board, I don't want to
I
pursue
have
it.
some interest in it, and I'll give an example. For example, the Surry County schools, I think, at least one school system, maybe others, but I think prior to this fiscal year, they applied for and accepted a HOPE grant, an acronym for the grant, HOPE. And there's some folks now that believe that it might be chocked full of some of those requirements that we didn't realize went along with the requirements of receiving such federal grants. I think it's fair game. I think anything we ask for that's going to get pushed back, clawed back, or anything that's going to require us to do things on a local level that we don't particularly like, just to get what is, and I use it loosely, free money. I tend to agree with you. And so to say the least, let's identify what we're applying for, and let's see what all the things and the requirements that go along with it are. I think that's fairly reasonable.
Well, we get a lot of grants for substance abuse and drugs and that sort of thing. And they use the term underserved communities. I'm all about helping underserved communities. And specifically prisoners and people incarcerated. I assume they would meet the definition of underserved people. For heaven's sake, you're in a jail or prison, but this stuff just gets completely bizarre. It is almost to the level of, I don't know where the country's going with this level of insanity that we are seeing nationwide, but nevertheless, we're confronted with it here, and it disturbs me. So, and that's why I have continued to speak out against this forcefully, and I always have, and I always will, and I make no apologies to anyone about it, because it goes against every fiber of my being and my grain, and I don't like it. And I will continue, as long as I'm a county commissioner, to speak out against this and stand up against these things that I don't agree with. But nevertheless, maybe we can discuss this a little bit more.
Where are you going with it, don't you? I mean, I think you got a consensus probably of where to go with this consensus next, Mr. Chairman. What's your?
Well, I mean, we've got 3 commissioners that would support, maybe something or looking into it. I don't know if you folks.
I'm fine for vetting grants and looking at, what the requirements are.
Okay. All right. We'll work on that. I'll help county staff with that, and we'll get something. All right, gentlemen, y'all have anything else for general county business?
Well, I'd just like to thank our property owners of Surry County. We got 3 months left in our fiscal year, and we've already received allocated what we needed for our 97%. I think that's what we allowed our budget amounts to, and we've received 97% of our property tax fund so far. So I'm tickled. I'm glad that the revenue comes in and comes in the way it does, on time and even before time. So I'm thankful. And again, I'm thankful for everybody that steps up and volunteers in Surry County. What would we do without them? And I'm blessed to live in Surry County. Thank you.
Commissioner Tucker?
Well, even with the garbage and the drugs and the dead end roads and the bridges and all the things that we talk about here, I too am proud to live in Surry County. And I want to always try to help mitigate, and make these things better. I appreciate people coming to the meetings, participating, not only in roadside litter collection, but all of the departments of our county and all the hard work that I see people do behind the scenes that sometimes the public does not necessarily see. And I'm proud to live in Surry County. Appreciate all you folks. Appreciate your participation in county government. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Goins?
Good to see our young people being recognized tonight, the shooting sports team. That was good. That's a good thing to see. Appreciate our EMS. Eric, we appreciate those folks and let them know that we appreciate them, appreciate what y'all do each and every day to help and serve the citizens of Surry County. Just as a reminder, Mount Airy has a litter pickup this Saturday at 10, starting at 10 a.m. Much needed in our city. Commissioner Hutchins made a comment the other day that I liked. He said, I'm gonna be part of the solution. And I tried, the other day I picked up some trash, not a whole lot in my neighborhood. I've got good neighbors and they don't throw their trash out in other neighbors' yards, but I did pick up some trash. And so I'm gonna kind of take that on too, is I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. I've never been a part of the problem, but I am gonna be part of the solution.
Yeah, I just like to echo what Commissioner Goins said about our young folks being here tonight, Surrey Central shooting teams. Extracurricular activities, keeping these kids busy, keeping them off the street. Mr. Parker and all the coaches done an outstanding job. I knew most of those kids coming up there tonight, and I was really proud of them. And kudos to you, Eric, and the paramedics that serve our citizens. You know, you had 5 saves. I congratulated them. But people that they saved, I know they more than congratulate them. They serve a really, really deep down purpose in our county. And the man with the 50 saves, that's he's seen it all. And there's probably nothing out there that's left that surprises him. But to have 50 saves, that's outstanding. So thank you for everything you do, Sheriff's Department, Health Department, all of our county facilities, and thank you everyone that came out tonight, and appreciate all you do.
Thank you, Commissioner Marion. I just want to say, apparently, on the DOT and Chet, I'm not sure if you were aware of this on the bridge for Trooper Bullard. Were you aware of? Apparently, they just approved the bridge naming over on 268 bypass for that bridge to be named after Trooper Samuel Bullard. And that looks like that dedication is going to be April 25th at 2 p.m. at the Surry Center over there at Elkin to dedicate that bridge. And I'm sure some folks will be in touch with you, and I'm sure the commissioners will get an invitation. It'll be a very moving ceremony, I'm sure. Thank you. That's all I have. Looking for a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into close, Mr. Chairman.
Motion, Commissioner Tucker, second, Commissioner Marion. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We are in closed. All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion Commissioner Tucker to adjourn.
Second.
Second Commissioner Marion, any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, we are adjourned. Thank you.